Your favorite chocolate bar might be hiding something that would make you put it straight back on the shelf. That familiar wrapper you grab at Walmart or Shoppers Drug Mart without a second thought could contain heavy metals linked to kidney damage and cancer, salmonella from recalled batches, child labor from unaudited cocoa farms, and vegetable fats replacing the real cocoa butter you thought you paid for. Health Canada and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency have issued warnings about several of these brands. Independent laboratories have found lead and cadmium exceeding safety thresholds, and yet these products sit on Canadian shelves from Halifax to Victoria, wrapped in cheerful packaging at every checkout. Today, we are exposing 10 chocolate brands you should never buy again, no matter how long they have been in your kitchen. Stay to the end, because we are revealing 5 that are clean, verified, ethically sourced, and worth every single cent. 10. Cadbury. The purple wrapper has been in Canadian kitchens since before most of us were born. Dairy Milk, Caramilk, Crunchy, Cream Eggs. Cadbury built decades of trust by connecting its brand with celebration, childhood, and comfort. The glass and a half of milk became part of Canadian identity. But since Mondelez International took ownership in 2010, something changed inside that wrapper, and it was not for the better. Mondelez, the same corporation that owns Oreo and Ritz, quietly reformulated Cadbury products to reduce production costs. The original cocoa recipe was altered. Vegetable fats were blended in to replace a portion of real cocoa butter, stretching the product while maintaining the familiar look. Independent taste tests confirmed the shift. The chocolate is now noticeably softer, sweeter, and less complex than it was 15 years ago. But the substitution runs deeper than flavor. Cocoa sourcing audits by the International Labour Organization found ongoing child labor concerns in the West African supply chains feeding Mondelez's global chocolate production. The company pledged reform in 2001 and again in 2010. By 2022, researchers documented that child labor in Ivory Coast cocoa farming, one of Cadbury's primary source regions, had increased by more than 30% over the previous decade. Every dairy milk bar you buy is funding a supply chain that has broken its own promises for over 20 years. For seniors believing they are treating themselves to quality chocolate, the reformulated product delivers less real cocoa and more processed fat than the bar they remember. For parents buying Cadbury for children, you are funding an industry that sends other children to dangerous farm labor instead of school. The purple wrapper did not change. The chocolate inside it did. 9. Hershey's. When Consumer Reports published its chocolate investigation in 2023, the findings shook North America. Researchers tested more than 40 popular chocolate products for lead and cadmium, 2 heavy metals toxic to the nervous system and kidneys. Hershey's dark chocolate landed among the highest contamination results in the study. One bar contained lead at a level that, consumed daily, would exceed the maximum safe dose under California's Proposition 65, one of the strictest consumer protection standards on the continent. Cadmium, a known carcinogen that accumulates in kidney tissue over years of exposure, was also detected at significant levels. These metals enter chocolate through the soil where cocoa trees grow. High-altitude farms in South America naturally concentrate cadmium. The problem is structural. Hershey's sources from high cadmium regions at industrial scale and has published no program to address contamination at farm level. Health Canada has no specific regulatory limit for lead or cadmium in chocolate, which means products that would trigger mandatory warnings in the European Union flow freely onto Canadian shelves with no indication of their metal content. For seniors with declining kidney function, regular cadmium exposure accelerates damage already occurring. For children whose developing brains are particularly vulnerable to lead, there is no safe level. Hershey's markets dark chocolate as a heart-healthy indulgence, The metals inside tell a different story. 8. Lindt, the red wrapper, the gold lion. Lindt built its reputation on the idea that Swiss precision means purity. Canadians pay premium prices for Lindor truffles and Excellence dark bars, trusting that higher cost means higher safety. The Consumer Reports 2023 study dismantled that assumption. Lindt's 70% dark chocolate was flagged for concerning levels of both lead and cadmium. A single serving of certain Excellence bars contained cadmium approaching the maximum weekly intake recommended by the European Food Safety Authority. The premium price bought better marketing, not a cleaner product. What makes Lindt especially frustrating is the deliberate opacity around its safety data. The company declined to publish batch-specific testing results or identify which farms supply their dark chocolate. Canadians who contact Lindt asking for heavy metals data receive general reassurances about quality processes, but no actual laboratory numbers. This is the chocolate equivalent of a pharmaceutical company saying "trust us" while refusing to publish clinical results. Open a Lindor truffle, and the experience is genuinely exceptional. The texture signals quality at every sensory level. That experience is real. The safety assurance behind it is not backed by any transparent evidence. The difference between Lindt and a genuinely clean chocolate is not taste. It is the willingness to publish what is actually inside. One type of company does. The other issues press releases. 7. Kinder. In April 2022, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency issued one of the most significant chocolate recalls in recent memory. Multiple Kinder products manufactured at Ferrero's Arlon facility in Belgium were pulled from shelves across Canada due to confirmed salmonella contamination. Kinder Surprise Eggs, Kinder Chocobons, and Kinder Mini Eggs were among the recalled products. By the time the CFIA announcement was made, some of these products had already been consumed by families across every province who had no reason to suspect anything was wrong. The recall used the phrase "may contain," meaning contamination was confirmed at the facility, but individual packages could not be cleared without laboratory testing. Salmonella is not a minor inconvenience. For healthy adults, it causes severe gastrointestinal illness lasting up to a week. For seniors whose immune systems cannot fight bacterial infection as effectively, it leads to hospitalization, septicemia, and in the worst cases, death. Kinder Surprise is one of the most popular children's chocolates sold in Canada. During the 2022 outbreak, parents across the country were searching pantry drawers and school lunch bags, trying to determine whether the eggs their children had already eaten were from affected batches. Ferrero eventually linked the contamination to a leaking pipe at the Arlon facility that production staff had identified months before the recall was issued. The gap between knowing about a contamination risk and informing Canadian consumers is something no parent should have to accept from a brand aimed directly at children. 6. Nestlé Canada. Kit Kat, Aero, Coffee Crisp, Smarties. These names are woven into Canadian candy culture so deeply that most people buy them without reading a single ingredient. That familiarity is precisely the problem. It breeds the kind of trust that allows serious concerns to go unexamined for years. Nestlé is among the companies named in legal proceedings related to child and forced labor in its cocoa supply chain in Ivory Coast and Ghana. A 2021 lawsuit by Malian nationals trafficked as children to work on Ivory Coast cocoa farms named Nestlé as a defendant, arguing the company knew about trafficking in its supply chains and continued sourcing from those regions regardless. The factual claims are supported by independent field research from Tulane University, which has tracked child labor in West African cocoa farming for over 2 decades. When you buy a Kit Kat from Shoppers Drug Mart or a box of Aero bars at Costco, you are participating in a supply chain that has never satisfactorily answered questions about who picked the cocoa. Beyond ethics, Nestlé Canada's chocolate products contain high quantities of refined sugar, palm oil, and artificial flavors that provide none of the cardiovascular benefits associated with real dark chocolate. The cocoa content in many Nestlé bars is low enough that those products would not legally qualify as chocolate in the European Union, where standards require higher cocoa solids. Canada's lower threshold lets them carry the chocolate label while containing more sugar and fat than actual cocoa. 5. Dove. Mars Incorporated sells Dove chocolate across Canada at Sobeys, Loblaws, and Metro. Dove markets itself on silky smooth indulgence, positioning the bar as a luxurious personal reward. The Consumer Reports 2023 investigation found cadmium in Dove dark chocolate at levels that concerned independent toxicologists who reviewed the study. Mars, like Hershey's and Lindt, declined to publish specific cadmium or lead test results for its Canadian products. The company stated its products meet all applicable regulatory requirements. That is technically accurate because Canada has no specific regulatory limit for cadmium in chocolate. The absence of a legal limit does not equal the absence of risk. The World Health Organization has set a tolerable weekly cadmium intake based on the threshold at which kidney damage begins accumulating in tissue. Regular dark chocolate consumption across multiple contaminated brands simultaneously, which is common among people who treat themselves daily, can push a person toward that threshold faster than any single product would indicate. Dove's marketing specifically targets women over 40 who regard dark chocolate as a healthy daily treat. This is also the group most likely to consume it consistently over years and decades. Cadmium accumulates in kidney tissue over exactly that timescale. A product positioned as a gift to yourself is quietly adding a toxic burden to the organs that filter your blood. The sensory experience is genuinely pleasant. The problem is invisible and cumulative. 4. Toblerone. The triangular prism. The Matterhorn on the box. Toblerone built its identity on Swiss alpine imagery so completely that the mountain became synonymous with the product in every Canadian airport gift shop and Loblaw checkout display. In 2016, Mondelez International, which also owns Cadbury, made a change to Toblerone that generated international headlines. To cut costs without raising the retail price, the company widened the gaps between the chocolate peaks, reducing the amount of actual chocolate in each bar while keeping the package dimensions identical. The consumer backlash was global, but the deception runs deeper than that incident. Mondelez reformulated the nougat and almond recipe, replacing a portion of the original honey and almond content with a cheaper sugar and vegetable fat blend. The iconic flavor was quietly altered, while the iconic shape distracted consumers from what had changed beneath it. More troubling is the cocoa sourcing. Toblerone draws from Mondelez's global supply chain, the same one linked to documented child labor concerns in West Africa. There is no Rainforest Alliance, Fairtrade, or UTZ certification visible on Canadian Toblerone packaging. You are paying a premium for a Swiss aesthetic built on a supply chain that has never been transparent about the people who grow the cocoa or the conditions under which they work. 3. Laura Secord. For generations of Canadians, Laura Secord represented something different from every other chocolate on the shelf. A homegrown brand carrying the name of a national heroine. Boxed chocolates given at Easter and Christmas. The kind of gift that felt meaningful and distinctly Canadian. Laura Secord shops were fixtures in malls from coast to coast, and the brand carried real emotional weight across multiple generations. The brand changed hands repeatedly, moving from Nabisco to Hershey's to subsequent corporate owners, with each transition bringing further cost reductions and measurable quality compromises. The handcrafted chocolate work that defined Laura Secord was gradually replaced with mass-produced centers and lower-grade coatings. Compound chocolate, which contains no cocoa butter and uses vegetable fat in its place, began appearing in products that once used genuine couverture. by the time most consumers noticed the change in texture and flavor, the brand had already been restructured around cost efficiency rather than craft. The nostalgic name remained intact. The product behind it bore little resemblance to what Canadians remembered. For seniors who grew up receiving Laura Secord boxes as meaningful gifts from people who loved them, this betrayal is personal in a way other brand failures are not. You trusted the name because it meant something real. The name was preserved. The quality behind it was quietly abandoned. 2. Turtles. The pecan, caramel, and chocolate cluster has been a Canadian favorite for decades, purchased as holiday gifts, shared at gatherings, and kept in bowls on counters across the country. The brand, now owned by Yildiz Holding through its DMET subsidiary, has appeared in multiple CFIA recall notices related to undeclared allergens across different production years. Undeclared allergen recalls are among the most dangerous category of food safety failure precisely because they are invisible. There is no change in smell, taste, or appearance to warn you. A person with a nut or sesame allergy has no sensory indication that their familiar chocolate cluster contains something capable of triggering anaphylactic shock within minutes. The CFIA's publicly searchable recall database shows Turtles products connected to allergen recall events multiple times across different production years, each time following the same pattern. A packaging or production error resulted in products containing undeclared allergens reaching consumers who made their purchase decision based entirely on what the label told them was inside. For the millions of Canadians living with diagnosed food allergies, this is not abstract risk. It is a potentially fatal one. The Turtles brand markets itself on the warmth of sharing and giving. Accidentally sharing an undeclared allergen with someone you love because the label failed to warn you is the opposite of what you intended when you chose it. 1. Pot of Gold. Hershey's Pot of Gold. Assorted chocolates are positioned as a premium gift selection for Canadian consumers. The gold box, the curated arrangement, the implicit promise that the person receiving it is genuinely valued. What the packaging conceals is a product built with the same industrial-grade ingredients as every entry-level Hershey's bar, marked up significantly for the gift presentation. In terms of cocoa quality, Pot of Gold uses compound coatings and lower-grade chocolate blends that bear no resemblance to artisan or premium chocolate by any recognized standard. In terms of safety, it carries the same heavy metals concerns as standard Hershey's dark chocolate documented in the Consumer Reports investigation. And in terms of ethical sourcing, it draws from the same unaudited supply chains that have failed to address child labor for over 2 decades. The deepest irony of Pot of Gold is the occasion for which Canadians purchase it. This box is chosen for mothers, fathers, grandparents, and partners on Mother's Day, Father's Day, anniversaries, and birthdays. You choose it because you want the presentation to say that the person receiving it is worth celebrating. The gold box communicates that the chocolate inside does not earn it. For seniors receiving this as a regular gift and eating from it over months, the cumulative heavy metal exposure is real. The gold box deserves to contain chocolate that matches the intention behind the giving. That is 10 brands and 10 broken promises hiding behind familiar wrappers. Go to your kitchen right now and look at what is actually there. If you see any of those names, put them aside and make a different choice next time. But do not give up on chocolate. These 5 brands prove that clean sourcing, honest ingredients, and genuine quality are completely possible in Canada. 5. Zazubian. Made in Canada with certified organic and fair trade cocoa from cooperatives in Peru and the Dominican Republic, Zazubian is one of the most transparent chocolate makers operating in this country. No child labor. No vegetable fat substitutes for real cocoa butter. No ingredient list that requires a chemistry degree. The bars use genuine cocoa butter, organic cane sugar, and whatever named flavor appears on the wrapper. The snap is clean, the aroma is complex, and the finish is what real chocolate is supposed to taste like. Available at health food retailers and independent grocery stores across Canada. 4. Camino, La Siembra. Cooperative, the Canadian worker-owned cooperative behind Camino, has been bringing fair trade organic chocolate to Canada since 1999. Dual certified by Fair Trade Canada and USDA Organic, Camino provides 2 independent verification layers that no Nestlé or Hershey's product can offer. The sourcing is transparent, the cocoa content is honest, and the products are available at real Canadian Superstore, Sobeys, and health food retailers nationwide. Critically, Camino is priced comparably to a Lindt bar. You are not paying a premium for ethical chocolate. You are simply choosing where your money goes. 3. Endangered Species Chocolate. Available through health food retailers and Costco Canada. Endangered Species chocolate sources exclusively through Fair Trade and Rainforest Alliance certified farms and donates 10% of net profits to wildlife conservation. The company publishes independent heavy metals, testing results showing levels below detectable thresholds. The cocoa content is genuinely high, the sugar content is appropriately low, and the dark chocolate varieties deliver real flavanol content for the cardiovascular benefits that dark chocolate is actually supposed to provide. For seniors who eat dark chocolate for heart health, this is how you get the benefit without the cadmium. 2. Denman Island Chocolate. Made on Denman Island in British Columbia, this small batch artisan producer uses certified organic single origin cocoa from a cooperative in Ecuador. Single origin enables complete traceability. When a chocolate maker can tell you exactly which farm and harvest your bar came from, contamination can be identified and isolated. Denman Island publishes its sourcing certificates and maintains direct relationships with farming cooperatives rather than commodity brokers. The result tastes unmistakably of real cocoa, with depth that only comes from beans grown, fermented, and dried with genuine care. Available through specialty retailers and online delivery across Canada. 1. Galerie au Chocolat. Based in Quebec, Galerie au Chocolat holds Fair Trade certification and uses Belgian couverture chocolate sourced with full traceability documentation available to consumers on request. Products are widely available at Loblaw, Metro, and Costco Canada, making clean chocolate genuinely accessible without a specialty store trip. Their dark chocolate collections contain no compound coatings, no artificial flavors, and no vegetable fat substitutes. Third-party lab testing is conducted with results provided on request. For Canadians who want to give chocolate as a meaningful gift and actually mean every part of that gesture, this is the box you reach for. The presentation is beautiful. The ingredients are honest. The sourcing is verified. That is what a gift worth giving should look like. And that is what this all comes down to. 10 brands using your trust as a marketing strategy. 5 brands earning it every single day. Go check your pantry right now. If you see those familiar purple, gold, red, and silver wrappers, set them aside. Your family deserves better than heavy metals, undeclared allergens, recalled batches, and cocoa harvested by children who deserve to be in school. Real chocolate is available at the same stores you already shop at. You just need to know which name to reach for. If this video helped you, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who deserves the truth. More Canadian consumer investigations are coming. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay healthy, and keep rising.